Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be unboxing and assembling the Ariel Rider Grizzly V2. I'm really excited about this. Before we get into it, please subscribe to the channel if you like the content, hit that thumbs up button, and also ring that notification bell for future notifications of my videos. If you're interested in purchasing an Ariel Rider e-bike, please use our affiliate link in the description below. It helps us put out content like this. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna carefully remove the flaps here. Watch out for these staples. They'll get you if you're not careful. All right, so there is another box inside the outside box. A great way to protect the bike inside. So open that up too. And there it is in all of its glory. All right, so we got a couple things inside here. Take out the boxes first. So it looks like we have one charger right here. Put these off to the side. Let's see what else we got in here. Styrofoam. Got another box here. All right, there's your Grizzly headlight. Toolkit, your pegs, your pedals, and your other charger. So it does come with two chargers, which is really nice. So you don't have to wait for one battery to charge. You charge them both at the same time. I think that's it for boxes. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the bike out of the box. I do recommend having two people help you with it. Being over 130 pounds, the bike is very heavy and you just wanna make sure you don't get hurt. All right, so once the bike is out of the box, what we wanna do is we wanna take the bubble wrap off the bike. And for now, we're gonna leave the wheel and the handlebars on the bike, but we're gonna slowly cut these zip ties away. Just be careful not to scratch the paint or cut any important wires, like the brake wires or power wires. This looks like the fender for the front. That is really nice. All right, so at this point, if you want to take off your batteries to get them inside to charge, your keys are attached to your handlebars. You just clip those off. And turn the key to the left, push the battery up. I'm guessing these are the rear battery. And this will just, there's a little handle underneath the battery, a little divot for you to grip, and just slides out. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna unclip this brake caliper in the front. Just be careful, like I said. What we'll do is we'll just place that off to the side. All right, so next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen the steering stem bolts here, just enough so that we can move it to the right position. And these 4 bolts are going to move to the front of the bike. All right, what we'll do is we'll get that nice and even. And if you have to go back to this and tighten it later at the end, you can do that. What we'll do is we'll just make sure it's nice and tight for now. It looks about straight. All right, so now we're gonna loosen the bolts on the handlebar clamp. Here there should be 4. Right in the front, make sure you don't lose those. It's nice that they give you all the tools that you need to do all this, you know? That way, just in case you don't have any, you're not running out to buy some. Everything you need to put this bike together is here. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna release the handlebars. Oh, wow. What we'll do is we'll line up the handlebars here as best as we can. We can always move these once the clamp is back on. All right, we'll take our clamp. Put that on there. All right, and what we want to do is we want to take our screws, and one by one we'll put these in the hole. I'm so psyched to ride this bike. All right, just got to get them threaded at least. And what I like to do is I like to do crisscross, so I do that one, I like to do the one diagonal from it just to even them out. I don't think you have to, but sometimes you run into problems where it's just not even when you go to put the screws back in. And one last screw here. I want to get those aligned. All right, so you just got to make sure these look straight here, and they do. What we can do is we can go back and play with those after. All right, so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna flip the bike over. And I do recommend for this, actually laying down cardboard or whatever, like I have here, just to make sure there's no parts that get damaged or your seat gets ripped or whatever. And we'll lay it over like this. All right, so now we want to put the front wheel on. And a couple of key things about putting the front wheel on is the motor cable needs to go down, so it needs to be facing down. But now, since the bike's flipped over, that motor cable we want facing us. We also want to make sure that the brake is on the same side of the bike as the rear, which it is. So what we want to do is we want to line these up, and these will fall into place. All right, so now we're going to install our torque arm. All right, you want to make sure that you line that up, that it's lining up with that little hole there. All right, there we go. Perfect. All right, now we want to install our torque arm bolts. You want to make sure that you do these before the axle nuts, just so they fit and line correctly. All right, and then we want to tighten our axle nuts. Guys, these are very important. You want to make sure these are tight, just like any other bolt on the bike, but these ones, you want to make sure your wheel stays on. So make sure this is nice and tight here. All right, so now we're going to connect the motor cable here. All right, and just tighten that little washer there so it forms a nice strong connection. All right, just make sure if you have any slack too here in this wire, just make sure you tighten that up so that way it's not rubbing against the tire. All right, so next we're going to do the caliper. We're going to install the caliper. And what you want to do, I think there's a spacer. Yeah, there's a spacer in here. Just remove that. I also want to take these bolts out. What you want to do is you want to line this in the disc. You want to make sure those are through your brake pads. And then you also want to align your holes there for your caliper. We'll take our bolts here, screw these back in, tighten these up. Okay, what you could do is if the brake is rubbing a little bit, you can loosen these up here. What you want to do is you want to spin your wheel, hold the brake, and then tighten these up. And what that's going to do is that's going to center your disc between the brake pads. All right, next we're going to put on the pedals. And what I do is I actually put some anti-seize on the pedal to make sure, just remember the right pedal is reverse threaded. So keep that in mind. And you do have an R and an L for right and left. We'll do the left pedal first. You take whatever, but I usually use the zip ties. All right. All right, at this point, we're gonna flip the bike back over. All right. Now we're gonna install the passenger pegs, and the bolts are actually in the frame already, so you don't have to look for them in the bag. Sure, you start threading them by hand until you get them on there. All right, then use your Allen to do the rest. All right, the next piece we're going to install is actually the fender. All right, so to make sure that this is installed correctly, you want to make sure that the short end is in the front and the long end with the little lip that goes up is in the back. All right, so what we'll do is we'll take this long bolt off. All right, that looks pretty straight. Next piece is going to be our headlight, and you want to go in the bag of the extra screws. This is where you're going to find your headlight screws. All right, you want to make sure the square looking light is on the top and the circular one is on the bottom. Washer, a nut. Just hand tight that for now. Throw the other one on there. So the headlight looks awesome. Looks nice and straight. So the next thing we want to do is we want to connect all our connectors here, and they're all color coded. All right, so what you want to do is you just want to match up the little tabs in there. All right, there we go. Tuck that underneath. Is there any more connectors here? They're all connected. Just make sure all your other connectors are connected and have a nice strong seal there. All right, and we'll just make sure all the rest of the zip ties are cut off. We can adjust our display to the way we want it, and then we'll tighten these bolts. And you'll want to fill up the tires with 30 psi of air. And other than that, you're good. I mean, let me tell you, I'm not the handiest person, so for me to put this bike together so quickly, took me an hour and a half to do. It probably could have took me less time, but I kind of want to be thorough and make sure I did everything right. But this bike is super easy to assemble. Everything came pristine, nothing broken. If I could do it, you can do it. All right, thank you for watching. And until next time, peace out.